Welcome to Toffee TV, here again. Manager update, sort of. Listen, we've said it all week, things change daily with managers being put forward. I mean,
indeed.
There's one. This fella here. I mean, where did that one come from? But joined by Cam and Ned for today's live update. What do we know from yesterday? Well, last night some news broke saying that Christophe Galtier, who a lot of people are backing, will go to Nice, but that is still only some kind of verbal agreement. It's not being confirmed, as it can.
Yeah, from what I read, it was sort of that the sources, it was GFFN, which is Get French Football News, they believe their sources think he'll sort of honour his agreement and still go to Nice. But within the same sort of hour, there was a rumour saying that he's still in talks with Everton and his representatives are still in talks with Everton. So pretty much the same places where we were at the start of yesterday. We don't really know what's going on with him. But I said it before, like I said to you about the Moyes stuff, until those contracts are signed and those papers are signatured, you don't know what's going to happen, do you? Ultimately.
No, and that's absolutely correct. I mean, you did bring up the Wijnaldum thing to Barcelona. It was done and dusted, and he's now a PSG player. So things can change in football. Obviously, you've mentioned David Moyes. We've got him here. Let's put him in his Everton coat there. Fair play. But it looks like he is about to commit to West Ham for 3 years. So that would take him off the table. I'm sure a lot of people on my Twitter feed quite happy with that. I think for him, he probably should stay at West Ham. He's just got them in Europe. Yeah. He seems to know what that team is. Do you see any way that he won't sign a contract at West Ham?
No, I do think he was interested in coming back to Everton, to be honest with you, but I think he's probably looked at it and gone, well, I've got the contract on the table at West Ham, which from all accounts has been there for a few weeks. And I think if Everton were sold on the David Moyes idea and everybody was sold on the David Moyes idea, I think it'd be a different story. But he's probably sitting there thinking they've still got 4 or 5 other names in the equation. The decision hasn't been made yet, and I'm probably best to just sign this contract and stay at a club that he's done really well at last season, gotten them into Europe. Obviously, he'll be playing in Europe next season. Got the backing of the board and stuff. So it come from the Athletic, didn't it, and various other reporters saying that he's agreed at
Stuart
least
Pearce, who's one of his
Pearce,
assistants, said, didn't he, as well, that he's agreed.
Apparently he will sign it next week, officially sign it and be revealed next week. So look, we'll wait and see. Everton might go full balls to the we'll all go after David Moyes and he might change his mind, but I think he'll stay at West Ham now, and I'm not too displeased about that, to be honest with you. I didn't particularly want David Moyes back. Fair
enough, because it is a changing landscape almost every day with new names coming in. I mean, Ned, we had the news yesterday of the link to Pellegrini, Real Betis manager, former Manchester City and West Ham manager, of course, as well.
There's no chance Everton would be looking into that, would they? Done okay with Real Betis, but was his last spell in the Premier League was West Ham, and where were they when they got sacked?
He was struggling.
They were battling relegation.
That's the thing, wasn't it?
Not great, is he? But you mentioned Galtier a few minutes ago. It'd be disappointing. But obviously, it wasn't even a name we were talking about a week ago. But then hearing Louis Campos come out and say it'd be perfect for the role. Obviously, Louis Campos is such an influential name in football, and then obviously just won a league. Not the most attacking manager. Plays 4-4-2, solid. Bit similar to other French managers, or like a Simeone type of style.
He's Argentinian, just for clarification, but yeah.
Oh, is he? I thought he was French, Galtier.
Simeone's Argentinian.
No, I'm talking about Galtier. I'm just saying he's similar style of play to Simeone, who people are also like to mention his name. But listen. If he's off to Nice, then fair enough. I'd have liked him, but he's not even someone who I expected to be linked with last week.
It's like Cam just said, though, isn't it? Is that until he's actually signed that deal, anything can happen. I mean, I was sat there last night, read that news and was like, God's sake. And then I said to you, I'm sat there gutted over a fella that didn't even won 5 days ago. And that's how it's gone at the moment, hasn't it? Because I think what a lot of people have said to me, and we'll go through these comments now as well, is that the names that are on that list aren't massively inspired. Well, they're not inspiring, are they? Let's be honest.
No.
And maybe that's just an indictment of where Everton are at the minute, or an indictment of who is actually available out there.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say the thing with the names on the list, and we'll look at the list in a bit. For every manager, like we've said, there's been people behind him and people completely against him. With Galtier, who's someone who we can, I think most people can get behind out of all the other managers. And the thing with him also is, like I've said on it before, he's a manager who's just won the league with similar type of players which Marcel Brands would be looking at. So if Marcel Brands is in control, then he'd be someone who'd be perfect to work with. Marcel Brands obviously just worked with the director of football and won the league, like I just said. So yeah, it'd be disappointing, but we don't know yet, do we? No. I imagine Everton would have been in contact with him.
Well, he was ready to sign his Nice contract before Ancelotti even left. That was sort of in agreement and verbal agreement. That's why he was never in the equation until Luis Campos come out and said what he said, because we all just sort of took the assumption, especially throughout the whole of last week, of, well, Galtier's going to Nice because it's already agreed there. And it wasn't until Luis Campos, who for me wouldn't just come out and say what he said just because he felt like it. He's obviously said what he said for a reason, whether that's because Galtier's had a word and said, put the feelers out there, I wouldn't mind going to the Premier League, or something else. He's obviously said what he said for a reason, and like you said, I wouldn't be completely convinced he was going to Nice until I see him with the scarf around his neck and the contract signed. But it wouldn't also surprise me if he went to Nice, obviously, because he's been linked for about 6 weeks with already having agreed the contract. So
let's get at some of the comments here. The game in Toffee. Galtier is my favourite to be the manager by far, meaning most likely we won't get him. Sol asking who everyone wants. Let's see. James Dunlop saying, afternoon lads, how's your sanity with this manager situation? It's know what it is, right? On one hand, I'm kind of pleased that they're taking the time with it. If they're doing that on their terms, if you understand, if it's a conscious decision by Everton to take the time because they're making sure they're looking at everything, then I kind of applaud them for that. If it's because they haven't got a clue and they're literally, well, that's it, they're going from one thing to the other and to the other, then that worries me slightly. I've read an article today in The Athletic by Oliver Kay. It was up and down, let's be honest, but it was really good today about how the transition in Germany to managers is so smooth, so well thought out, so well planned, and then he goes and look at the Premier League with Tottenham and Everton and Crystal Palace and are all over the gaff with what they're doing. And he went through like the German teams, like Bayern Munich, once Hansi Flick said he was leaving, and Nagelsmann went in, Jesse Marsch went in from there, and he got another coach from their third team's gone into Salzburg to replace Marsch, and Wolfsburg have now gone and got Mark van Bommel because their coaches everybody's moved. Dortmund have got Marco Rose, haven't they? Marco Rose going in, but they announced that in March while he still had the caretaker. Adi Hutt has gone, and everything seemed really well planned. And where are you going? And what he said about Everton, and he's absolutely right, is if the list is led to believe to be true, still doesn't seem to be any clear thinking. Yeah. Because you've got Rafa Benitez on there, you've got Nuno on there, who are both defensive-minded managers. Then you've got Graham Potter and Roberto Martinez and things like that on there. And then Antonio Conte's name just been dropped in. And now Galtier's come in, and you've got Ralph. And it does seem like it's just a case of... And I know, listen, like I've said, nobody from Everton have come out and gone, this is the list of people we're talking to. So we can sit here going, what are they doing? For all we know, they've got 3 names on a list and they're all the same kind of manager. That might be what's happening. I don't know.
Hopefully.
But on the face of it and what we can take of it for face value, it looks like it's a bit of a mess at the moment. I mean, am I being too harsh on that? Or?
No, I think you're spot on. I said earlier on in the week that I would be surprised if by the end of the week, meaning today, Friday, we didn't have a clear sort of 1, 2, maybe 3 names that we know it's going to be between. And I said, although as fans it might seem like that's not the case and there's still 5, 6, 7 names in the equation, for Everton it might be between 2 or 3 names. That a lot of the names that are being mentioned might just be complete and utter nonsense talk, or they might have been on the short list but have been crossed off earlier on in the week or last week for various other reasons. So Everton could, for all we know, be contemplating between 2 or 3 names that are of a similar fashion or of a similar style and are going to come in and do the job they want them to do. But ultimately, as we've got as fans now is different articles from different companies. The Athletic saying this is the shortlist, and then other Paul Joyce saying yet somebody else is on there that the Athletic haven't said, and then you've got the Pellegrini rumours. I just think you have to take everything with a that come out of nowhere, didn't it?
67-year-old manager.
I think you've just got to take everything you read with a pinch of salt, haven't you? Because it's only going to be one name, and that means that every other name, certainly a lot of other names that we've been linked with, there'll have been absolutely nothing in whatsoever, other than somebody going, yeah, I'll publish that article because it'll get loads of clicks and it'll bring loads of attention.
The other thing you always get as well is they call them intermediaries, don't they? Which is another way for agents. Yeah. Really will be putting their people forward.
Exactly.
We've got people like Richard Keys yesterday saying Mark Hughes should be getting it in someone, and you're like, hang on a second. But Kia Joraban's Mark Hughes' agent, and Kia Joraban's mates with Mashiri, so that'll have been dropped in to make people think. It is at the moment a little bit of a frustrating thing.
It's a merry-go-round, isn't it?
Because I think the biggest thing is, out of it all, I think probably the worst is, and even though I've sat here and gone, I'm not really that bothered with Carlo's gone, he's gone, and off we go. It has come out the blue. It's not like we were falling into being 16, 17, and it was like, he's got to go, we've got to sack him. So I don't think any of us were really mentally prepared for it, were we? And so therefore, even though, like you said, I'm quite comfortable with him going, he's probably better suited to Real Madrid, he still sat here going, we need to get it sorted, we need to get it sorted. Because I think I don't know, just from a personal point of view, I don't know how you feel, from a personal point of view, it's just unsettling, and you just want to be able to go, right, that's our manager now, right, let's look at the other thing, which is, it's not more important, but the other thing is, we actually need players, because this squad ain't good enough, so we need to get on with that thing as well, but we can't do that thing as well as the ground, which is here. We can't do that thing, which is the players, because we've got a big hole here who needs to kind of agree these players. So, I mean, do you feel like that, Ned, or are you?
It's as if like not only last season and the summer transfer window this season, it's all become relevant. Did you when Carlo left 2 weeks ago and 2 and 3 days or something, wasn't it?
Not even a fortnight.
Yeah, it was Tuesday, last Tuesday.
11 days ago.
Anyway, 2 weeks ago. Did you think that would be a bit more further down the line at this point?
You know what? I did and I didn't, if that makes it probably doesn't make any sense. I could see a situation where I thought we might panic a manager quickly. But then I started thinking, when Silva was sacked, we didn't appoint Ancelotti for Dunk had 4 games. So it was over, they took the time. So then I started thinking, actually, we took our time last time at probably a time when, when Duncan took over, we were 17th, I think, in the league or something, 16th in the league, and we were in bottom 3, weren't we, for the Chelsea game. And so there was an urgency to get it, and it was just the fact that he got some decent results that probably gave them a little bit more time. David Moyes had been offered it, which again, with the Gaultier thing, is like David Moyes had verbally agreed to come back to Everton, and then Ancelotti come on the scene. So when I started thinking about how long it took us in the season while games were going on, no, I'm not really that surprised.
It's different as well, isn't it? Because he left unexpectedly, wasn't it?
So. That's what I mean. We didn't have time. And I don't think maybe the board didn't have time to prepare for the fact we're going to have to sack him. Who else is there? But one thing I think they should do, and just going back to that Oliver Kay article before I get back into the comments, was they actually, those German sides, start planning ahead for that and planning for, your contingency plans. If this goes wrong,
what's the plan B?
Who else can we get in to do this job? And I guess you said something before, Cameron, about the director of football and the pathways and all that. If you are letting someone direct the football, then they need to start doing it properly, and they need to start doing it to the point where they've always got contingencies. So if you get one way of playing, you then, I've said it earlier in the week, you get one way of playing, then look for the next fella that does exactly what, kind of like what you're doing, so that it isn't this huge upheaval if you have to replace your coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we said, didn't we? We said the other day about that clause in Ancelotti's contract, which said about if certain teams come in for him, he can go without any fuss whatsoever. And we said that Ancelotti mightn't be here without that clause. But if you're putting a clause like that in a manager's contract, then surely you have to be prepared that that might happen at some point. And therefore, you've got to have 3 or 4 names at all times that could come in and replace him. You're keeping tabs of, right, although we don't want a new manager and we might need a new manager, who is there in case someone comes in for this fella and he just goes? Because that's what's effectively happened. Yeah. We didn't expect 3 weeks ago to be managerless. We didn't expect Ancelotti to move. And the club have probably gone, we don't need to look at new managers or replacements because we've got Ancelotti and he's not going anywhere. And he's saying he wants to stay. Exactly. But if there's that clause in the contract, then surely they'd have to be thinking, right, okay, even if he doesn't leave and he does stay for the whole contract, we've got to be ready for the, for the in case it does happen, for every eventuality. And we haven't been. But like Ned said, we've never really been in this situation, certainly not in my lifetime, where I know Moyes left and wasn't sacked, but we knew 6 months before Moyes left that he was leaving. We knew on his last game it was his last game, whereas this was very much one day it's everything's fine, the next day it's uproar and everything's up in the air. So it's mad, it's difficult, isn't it?
Let's get in. Andrew Hughes is going to end up with Martinez or Pellegrini.
Oh my God.
Leighton B says, not Leighton B, it's spelled differently. I am honestly so confused because it seems like we're linked with a new manager every few days.
We are?
Well, that's exactly what it is, mate. Johnny B. Good says, I had to think about Rafa, and although his CV is decent and Duncan would learn a lot from Rafa, he's on to a loser straight away. Christoph or Duncan has to be. Harry Potter is too risky.
Harry Potter, wouldn't mind Harry Potter.
Wingardium Leviosa was off the face of the earth, please.
Chris says, the weight is killing me. I'm not going to lie.
My dad's texting me saying, what's the situation when players going to be signing now, or we've got to wait till we can bring a manager in? And I suppose that comes down to how much control Brands is now, I guess. If Brands is like, well, I don't know who's going to be a manager because Mashiri's picking, then he's not going to go in for sign players when the players could be absolutely no use in the manager.
I think it's like the Dumfries thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dumfries, Everton are clearly interested in Denzel Dumfries. Marcel Brands is speaking to PSV, and we haven't got a manager. So
whoever comes in, we still need that right back as well.
So I think Everton will, if Everton can do the deal, Everton will do the deal regardless, I think, of whether they've got a manager in place, because it's an area that needs fixing immediately.
Either way.
And you would expect that to, you would expect that to happen. You would hope that would happen. Listen, Everton might be far more down the line than what we're thinking. Yeah, and they might already be onto those conversations about what players are interested in. These are who we've identified. We don't know. We're just surmising, but I think in terms of buying players, certainly someone like Dumfries, I think Everton will buy regardless of whether the manager's in place, because we haven't got a right back other than James Coleman. Michael Smith says, all right, Baz, do you think the club will do what it usually does when a big tournament's on and let it drag out for weeks, as they think fans will be distracted by the Euros? No, I don't think you can do that with a manager. The only way I think Everton don't have a manager in the next 2 weeks is because Roberto Martinez is going to be the new manager.
Yeah.
And he's still in the tournament with Belgium. That's the only. I think other than that, Everton will appoint. I don't think there's a conscious decision. I know it looks like that, Michael, and I don't know. How do I know? But I don't think Everton are going to go. Our fans will be distracted by the Euros because they only have to go onto social media to know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate England, and a lot of people aren't bothered by the Euros. I'm looking forward to just watching games of footy, to be honest. But no, I think Everton will unless it's Martinez.
Or Joachim Low.
Or, I was going to say, or Jorgi Le, as they call it. Then I think Everton will still appoint, regardless. Disagree?
No, I agree.
Need a massive answer.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of the names that are on the list don't have anything to do with the Euros, and the Euros wouldn't have any sort of issue in stopping them whatsoever. So, like you said, unless it is Roberto Martinez, who obviously is away with Belgium, I can't see it being an issue whatsoever. Everton is still working. You know, Marcel Brands will still be at work. Farhad Moshiri will still be at work. It's not everyone goes off and just does nothing because the Euros is on. So, and plus, once the Euros end, it's straight back into starting pre-season and getting ready for the season. And if we haven't got a manager by then, we'd be really, really worried.
Well, we're back. Everton are back the week before the Euros end. Everton are back on July 5th. So, if that's the Monday, whatever the Monday is, the 5th, I think it is.
Could you back Martinez?
I'd back whoever comes in because I'm an Evertonian and I'll get behind whoever comes in, but I don't want Martinez. I think it's very easy to remember Martinez's first season and go, oh my God, imagine him with money, but let's remember the last 18 months of Martinez, which was utter dross, and some of the excuses he come out with after like getting beat 4-0 in the derby and coming out and trying to spin a positive on it was just was absolutely shocking. He was very stubborn. It was plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, I don't really care. I'm still on plan A. And I just didn't like that about him.
Baines looking at the sky when we were 4-0 down, he was telling them stuff and he was just rolling his eyes. And I think of that team that had Lukaku, McCarthy,
finished 11th twice on the bounce,
Barkley, Coleman, people like that, Leighton Baines, and we were 11th 2 years running. It just, I'd get behind him if he come in, of course I would, but that he's not one who is high up on my list at all. Mark G makes a really good point though, says, can we please just acknowledge that the media nor the betting parties know Jack. It's all about the money and clicks, both of them care about. But Mark, you know what? I agree. I agree. It's just that some journalists do have decent sources, and if names are put to them, them names are probably being discussed. But you're right, in terms of the finer details, the fact that people are still talking about a shortlist of 6 and 8 means that I think Everton are keeping the cards quite close to the chest as to what they're actually doing. But it is right to acknowledge that.
Because a lot of the things we've heard is like, it just looks like there's just names on the table and Everton haven't really made a decision, and you'd like to hope that 11 days after Carlo Ancelotti leaving would be a bit further down the line than just saying, here's a load of names.
Well, look at the Benitez stuff, you know, it was yesterday morning, there was a big thing, you know, Paul Joyce broke at Everton, he's seriously being considered. And you got Vinny O'Connor, says the club have, although not directly, have said it's very unlikely Benitez will be appointed. So you've got it, when the club discusses a name, I could put my CV in to Marcel Brands and apply for the job, and they might go, Barry Cash, he's got no experience. He thinks he knows a lot. He's got no experience. Should we give him the job? No. In the bin. Thanks very much, Barry, for your application.
Yeah.
You're
still on the list.
I've been discussed by the board. I haven't got anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's in the bin, but I've been discussed. So I think there'll be a few then, because I know some of the names that applied for it was bizarre. Absolutely bizarre, but there you go. Tom Newton says, at this stage, anyone else be devastated if it's not Gaultier, just me. Like I said before, Tom, I was like sat there last night, like moping over a fella that didn't even want 5 days ago. So that's where we are.
He's the only name that seems to have galvanised everybody, isn't he? He's the only name. Every other name, there's people
I call it the path to least resistance.
Yeah, it is.
Because I don't think everyone is waving the tricolour, are they? They're not giving it the big one because he's amazing, but he looks like a really good coach, and he's done really well at St. Etienne.
Personality.
Bit of a personality. So we all kind of went, actually,
he's the man.
There's someone we can go, let's get behind him. Everybody else is a game of tennis. Yeah. You know, you've got Harry Potter there. I've honestly, the last 3 days, I've watched stuff this morning, coach's voice with him, I've watched a tactical thing with him, I've watched Brighton Explained. I've been on Brighton's site and looked at some of the games they played last season, the way they play. Really good football. If they did have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they'd probably been in the top 8. The way they played, the chances they created and all that. The worry with someone like Graham Potter is, he comes in, he doesn't, Evertonians don't take to him. I'm not saying they wouldn't, I'm just saying this is the worry. And if things are a bit sticky at first, can he handle you know what we're like as a fan base, we can be horrible, can't we? Because we all want that we all want something to jump on the back of, don't we? And get behind. So that's kind of a worry. I mean, Is that something you're worried about?
Yeah.
How do you feel about him? Or is he just is he along with me in the bin over there?
No, he's not in the bin. I think.
What are you saying, Cam?
I do think he's a good manager, and look, Brighton played some really good football at times last season, and I understand there's the whole thing about them, having not won 10 games for a season for a few seasons now, and all that sort of stuff. But I agree, he's split. Opinions are split on him, and said this before to the lads outside. The same stuff with Rafa Benitez. He'd be coming in with a massive rod behind his back because of the Liverpool connection, and whether we put it behind us for 10 minutes or not, and say, right, okay, we can shift that aside for the minute and get behind him. We lose 2 games on the bounce to Sheffield United, and they're not even in the league anymore, to Norwich and I don't know, Newcastle,
like that,
let's say. Then the whole Liverpool connection will come back into the equation. It won't still be we'll push that to the side. It'll be hang on, that he says the wrong thing in a press conference. It'll still be the same. So I just think we need a manager that's going to galvanise the fan base and everybody could get behind.
Who is that? If it's not Galtier,
that's
Galtier's gone to Nice, if he goes to Nice, if it isn't him, Paulo Fonseca, who's another highly rated coach. Spurs. Yes, there's big question marks over him. Looks like Spurs have took the chance with him, so he's off the table. Who is it then? David Moyes?
I honestly don't know.
He's off the table.
I honestly don't know. I really, really don't know. I think whoever comes in, we're going to have to get behind and try and not force, sort of galvanating the fan base, but we're going to have to sort of make do, I suppose, and get behind whoever it is. But you're right, I don't know who it is, because every single name in that list, most of them aren't very inspiring, and most of them split opinion massively. Like the Dunk thing, said the other day to Ned, like, Marmite, you either really want him, and definitely, or it's no, not a chance. There's not really an in-between, sort of, and a lot of the names are like that. You see some people who are like, go for Potter, boss, and then the next comment will be, no, Potter's an absolute, he'd be a shambles. Some people are like, Eddie Howe, he's done a good job with Bournemouth. Next minute, oh my God, they got relegated, he's dreadful. So, it's like two ends of the opposite ends of the scale, with everybody we're being linked with.
In the middle.
There's not, other than Galtier, there's nobody in the middle.
There isn't any until our manager comes in and starts getting results. Then we won't care about the manager's CV.
It's like Nuno.
There isn't one.
It's like Nuno. I mean, where do you lie on Nuno, Ned? Because he's still bouncing around, isn't he?
He's still favourite to. We'll look at the list in a minute, but he's not for me. I don't think we'll sign him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance, especially if he's gone into Palace and missed out on that one. At the time I left Wolves, I was thinking he'd end up at a club like Everton, for say. I meant like Everton, like a step-up club. I didn't think think we'd lose Ancelotti, to be honest. I think we'd be in this situation. Yeah.
Ned's had the word.
But now I can see him back in the Championship or something, because if he can't get a job at Palace, I don't think Everton would be interested.
I don't think it's not he can't get a job at Palace.
It's the demands, isn't it?
It's the demands with the backroom staff, isn't it?
There was a lot of people he wanted to take there, and Crystal Palace. Reading that, the article, and obviously they've been fed by Crystal Palace all the details. It just become one thing after the other, and even when he agreed to join them and sign on Tuesday night, there was more demands came on Tuesday night and then Wednesday morning.
They've been talking for 3 weeks.
So
2 or 3 weeks.
He was talking to Palace before Ancelotti even left Everton, wasn't he? So,
yeah.
GTE says, I know he's at Ajax, but would you take Ten Hag?
He'd work well with Marcel Brands, I think. Dutch. Young. Obviously got to a Champions League semi-final a couple of years ago. Plays nice football, but I don't know.
He's like you said the other day, Ajax and the Dutch league do that thing, don't they, where they bring through managers from their academies and promote. It would be like Duncan Ferguson coming into the Everton job, and I know Ten Hag's been successful at Ajax and he's done a very good job. So, but
he only got that job
because of coming through, exactly. So,
which is that's why I find the Dunk thing a little bit just slightly strange, because if that's what Brands has done, it's what he did at PSV. It's a little bit matter how how the great coaches they've had have got jobs, and you think of like the likes of Frank de Boer, that's at Ajax and then moved on. You would think that was what Everton might have looked at, but I understand obviously the other arguments. But Ten Hag, good coach, has done well, but Ajax play in such a specific way. He's ingrained in Ajax. He went and done, but didn't he do Dortmund B or something, and it didn't work out, and he went back to Ajax or something like that as well. So it's whether he could come here and whether Everton could play like Ajax, and whether it'd be a smooth transition. He's obviously got the experience now, because he's managed team that's done very well in Europe as well. So he's an interesting one, but he's just signed a deal to stay there for 2 years as well, hasn't he?
I do think he'd be one of those names that we just mentioned that would sort of be in and around the middle. Same with Ralph Rangnick. I think Ralph Rangnick, Christophe Galtier and Ten Hag would be sort of hovering around the middle. And maybe that's because a lot of people haven't seen them every week. We've seen Nuno every week for years. We've seen Graham Potter every week for years. We've seen Eddie Howe every week for years. There's a bit of uncertainty with those managers. There's a bit of mystique,
It's the same with it's the same with Lucien Favre, who I think I'm a little bit surprised hasn't been mentioned more with the Everton job, because he obviously done a good job at Mönchengladbach, done a good job at Nice himself, done a great job at, well, was good at Dortmund. He should have won the league a couple of years ago, but he lost it by 2 points. He Evertoned it up a little bit near the end. Perfect. He had them playing fantastic football. He didn't need a huge overhaul to get them playing, doing what he wanted to do. At his other clubs, he didn't need a huge overhaul to get them playing good football. He worked with the squad and then got additions in. Problem with him is he's not long term. He's 63. I was going to say,
I think it's the long term thing with him.
Talking 3 years, but then again, if there was a progression plan with that, as if it was like we're having 5, but it's going to be Duncan Ferguson who's going to go through with him, then he'll take over, or another coach or someone else comes in with 5 and he does the 3 years. Then you're kind of trying to progress into him taking over. That would be a progression plan for Everton that I think they've got to start doing, regardless. Even whoever comes in, you've got to start having, like you said before,
you've got to do it on the pitch as well,
and be able to do it on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, you look at our squad, and I've said this before, there's good players in that squad. There really is, and add 3 or 4 more other players and become a different team, become a good side. It can go the other way, of course it can, but you need someone who's got a clear plan. Yeah. To be able to ignite that, and the only way this Everton side becomes competitive for European places next season is to put pace in it and a bit of power. Otherwise, we'll be doing what we're doing.
And athleticism.
June says EFC should not be romantic in their managerial appointments. It should be based on their career and results achieved. We need a pragmatic and not to be swayed by parochial loyalties. Joe 1878 underscore NSNO says Galtier be great, yes. But Ralph Rangnick is a great option. Also, one of the two, we'd be laughing. And Sol says Rangnick's a director of football now.
Baz, he is, your mic's fell down your shirt there, lad.
No, it hasn't. It fell off it.
Oh, it fell off. I thought it was like hanging down there.
Apologies if I went a bit quiet there. Rangnick, he is a director of football more. You're absolutely right. But I still think if Everton approached him and said, do you want to manage us? And he was like, yes. Because he's apparently his agent's interested in it. Then he becomes the manager again, doesn't he? And maybe you think double bubble with him and Brands, you know. But again, he's not a long-term appointment, you know. And it's what Everton wants. Everton might look and go, right, let's imagine a scenario where Everton sit down and go, right, we're moving into Bramley-Moore in 3 years' time. We can't still be all over the place, you know. Let's hope there's an adult in the room saying this when they're sat around. We can't still be all over the gaff in 3 years because we're going into Bramley-Moore. What do we need? We need to get the team or the squad or whatever, the club, direct, you know, focused in one direction, playing a certain way of football, whatever. This fella will come in and will get us doing that. Yeah. Now, whether he's going to be there in 4 years, because he'd be 67 then going into Bramley-Moore, you might have a touch of Roy Hodgson about it, or whether we're going to do him for 2 years and get us on this even keel, and we'll look at the next fella for 2 years to just carry that on into Bramley-Moore. That, again, is a plan, isn't it? But I hope it isn't a case of just grabbing someone and going, oh, let's see what happens, because I guarantee if it is that, we will be sat here again in 18 months just going, where do we go from here? Yep. Don't we? And the list will be the same. Yeah. Should we give it to Dunk? Should we try and get, you know, Arteta? Because he'll probably have been bounced by Arsenal from then. Yeah. Will this happen? Will that happen? Will Pochettino, wherever he is, will he, you know, you start doing the same thing, and you know, there is the definition of madness is to continue doing the same thing.
Insanity, innit? Yeah.
Expecting different results. And that's where we're up to, isn't it?
Can I just read this comment from Matt G? He says, for all the Dunk shouts, what would you do if we found ourselves 15th by December? That could be the case with any manager. What would you do if we were top by December with Dunk? If you look at if you go for the managers and look at the worst possible scenario, then you're going to have no manager. That's no way.
We finished 12th with Carlo Ancelotti.
Exactly.
So
There's a
I get it. I absolutely get it.
12th and 10th.
It depends though, Mark, doesn't it? Because if Everton were 15th by December, but playing really good football, you could see what was happening. Then people might go, well, I mean, none of us.
17th in our
Let's
first
be honest,
season,
none of us are going to accept being 15th. Let's be clear, we're not. Regardless, we're not, right? But it would be the same with any manager. If we go and get Nuno, and we're 15th by December, then we're going to want him out. If we get Antonio Conte, and we're 15th in December, people are going to start going, what's going on here? Because if you got Antonio Conte, he's going to be on about 20 million quid a year.
Yeah.
And if Everton are 15th, you're going to be going, what the hell is going on here? So whoever it is, 15th in December ain't acceptable, no matter who you are.
Spot on.
No matter who you are. So,
and that's part of the parcel of if Dunk was to take the job, if he was offered the job, is he'd have to understand that if it didn't go well, he's susceptible to being sacked and being moved on. Because
at the end of the day,
the same as everyone else.
He's put, if he wants, and we said it the other day, don't even know if he's interested in being the manager, but if he was, then he knows what he's putting on the line.
Yeah,
he's backing himself, isn't he? If he gets it wrong, he's sacked. Why shouldn't he be sacked?
Exactly.
You can't go, we're not sacking you. He'd be sacked, but then that goes the same for every single manager, doesn't it? Everyone who comes in, you've got to deliver, and that's the thing. That is the thing. June thinks that it could be Benitez with Duncan. Fair enough. Liam Mack, I think, is a hammer, says, yes, David has reportedly signed his contract. Mark says, Rangnick hasn't managed in 10 years. He's managed twice in the last 10 years, Mark. Would not work with Brands, his father of the high press, which we clearly not can do. Yeah, but you're moving. You want to move the squad towards being able to do stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah.
Really?
The squad can't do a lot at the moment. It's not necessarily about bringing in a manager and then going, well, we can't bring him in because he wants to play this style and this squad can't play this style. You bring him in to play that style and then you bring players in that can play that style. I think we need to also keep reminding ourselves that this is a squad that 2 weeks ago, when we still had the manager, we all sat down and said it's nowhere near good enough. We need 4, 5, 6 players to do anything, and it's the type of players, athletic, quick, pacey, and get behind, can score goals. We still haven't got enough goals in the team, better defensive players. So I know the manager's taking the light at the moment because obviously we haven't got a manager and we need a manager, and I get that, but we also need to keep reminding ourselves that we're still 5 signings away from being a half-decent, consistent team in the Premier League, and that doesn't change because we now need a manager. We're still in that situation, so I think it's important that the club focus on both. I wouldn't like to be going into next season, put it this way, for you to say to me, right, Cam, Everton signed Christophe Galtier 2 weeks before the season, but then you don't bring in a player, I wouldn't be looking forward to the season whatsoever, because I'd know Christophe Galtier would have to manage this inept squad with a majority of players that aren't good enough and shouldn't be here. So it's about getting both right and bringing in the players and also bringing in the manager, of course. If you were to say, Cam, bring in Graham Potter, but you make 6 signings, I'd say, well, you need to improve the squad as well as bring in a manager, so that would work better than not bringing any signings in. And I don't think the club would do that. I think they will obviously bring players in this summer as needed, but we have to keep reminding ourselves that this isn't a fully perfect squad that you just need a manager to come in and manage.
See, that's really interesting, that point, because if someone said to you that you can have Antonio Conte, but Everton aren't signing anybody to work with that squad, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or you can have Graham Potter, but Everton, Marcel Brands is going to make 5 signings that are going to improve the squad. Pacey. Which manager would you go for?
I'd take Graham Potter. I'd take the latter, because I don't
what's needed.
I don't particularly want Antonio Conte anyway. I don't think he'd be here for. I think he'd
no, I'm just using him because
I get that,
he's the highest profile.
I get that.
You know?
But like you said, whoever comes in, if we don't bring in any signings, we're not going to improve, because it's the same. This squad of players has let so many managers down, and I'm not saying the managers have been good enough or they shouldn't have been sacked or Carlo shouldn't have left, whatever. But there's players in this squad that have constantly let manager after manager after manager down. Yeah. And they're the players that, once they walk onto that pitch in that Everton kit, in that royal blue kit, there's only so much the fella standing on the sideline can do and say. If they don't want to give it 110%, if they don't want to get in with that 50-50 challenge, what was Ancelotti meant to do? What would Graham Potter, what would Conte, what would Galtier meant to do? Run on the pitch and make a slide challenge?
I watched last night, I was laying in bed and my head was going over everything. I watched Jamie Carragher and Gus Poyet talking after one of Brighton's games about Potter. And it was more, to be honest, it was more Poyet than Carragher. But they just destroyed Palace. I think when Palace beat them it was, but they battered Palace. And they put all the XG up and Brighton should have had.
Was that when Palace had one shot on target?
I think it was, but Brighton destroyed them. But Poyet was saying, like he said, if you look at all of the metrics, it gives you an indication of how good. I know a lot of people don't like metrics in football. I get it, right? But it isn't just random football. It can be, of course it can, because if I'm playing and I run down a wing and do 3 keepy-ups and volley it in, that no one's planned for that. It's just happened. But if you look at the metrics of football, XG, XA, and that kind of stuff, you can see how well your team's actually playing because it's creating them chances. So Poyet was saying, you can see how well Brighton are playing. He said, but when they cross the line, if Danny Welbeck or Neil Maupay or Aaron Connolly or Trossard miss chances like they are, there's nothing the manager can do about it. All the manager can do is set the team up to play in a way and to create opportunities. And I'm not saying that if Everton get Potter, Everton will be in the top 4 because they'll create a million chances and Dom and Richie will score and it'll be all good. But you do have to sometimes look at that and go, well, in some respects, they create a hell of a lot of chances. Imagine if that translated to Everton, create no chances. And we did have Dom getting on the end of it, or Richarlison, or even Gylfi Sigurdsson arriving late. And you know what I mean? You would expect your team to be better. And so sometimes it does come down to actually having that plan and planning to the nth degree and doing it that way. And maybe Ancelotti fell down a little bit because he did just say, go and play. And you can say go and play when you've got Karim Benzema, Luka Modric,
Ronaldo.
You know, Ronaldo, Vinicius Junior, all of these players he's worked with over the years, Lewandowski. You know, you can say that's Reece Mertens. That's great when you know, Zlatan, Cavani, going back even further, Shevchenko,
Maldini,
you know, Crespo. When you've got all of those players, you can just say go and play. Do this, but go and play. You can't do it when you've got Fabian Delph
and Alex
Iwobi and Bernard, and you know, you just can't. Go on.
Well, let's before the odds start flying around. Let's
go on.
Let's have a look who's favourite. Frank Lampard's still on the list at 18-1. Roberto Martinez for the second day in a row, 16-1. Duncan Ferguson, probably like the lowest odds he's had for a while, 16-1. David Moyes, 16-1. Looks like he's about to sign a contract with West Ham. Rudy Garcia, former Lyon manager, flying onto the list for the first time at 10-1. Graham Potter, odds are going down to 10-1 now. He was 2-1 the day, wasn't he, at favourite? Rafa, 8-1. Eddie Howe, 6-1. Galtier still on there at 5-1. And Nuno, again, the favourite at 11-8.
Interesting. Very interesting. We'll go on to Garcia in a minute. Couple more of these. Delamere Bear says just trust the process. We've got to, haven't we? Not really much we could do. Luke says Baz is an MLS expert. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I do watch it. Can you give a player profile of Rossi from LA? We've been linked with by Jason Burt. LA, Diego Rossi plays for LAFC. He's only about 5'6". Makes me look like a big fella.
I thought you meant 5 or 6 years old then, I was going to say.
23-year-old Uruguayan striker. Good goal scorer. Does well, plays up front with Carlos Vela. I'm just not convinced he's physically good enough for the Premier League. He's a good player, he's a good finisher. He's bright, he's not lightning, but he's nice and bright. His movement's really good. He's got 3 and 5, I think, this season so far for LAFC. He's got a lot last season. I just don't know whether he's got the actual physical attributes for the Premier. He might come in and be outstanding. I know Spurs have had a look at him as well, but you just worry when there's not one outstanding attribute when players are that small. But he knows where the net is. He's a nice finisher, Go on, you look like you're about to say.
As we've seen with the Premier League, it's always been dominated by the most, the biggest physical, fastest players. Even like if you look at wingers now, you go and watch them, they look a lot.
Sergio Aguero's 5'4".
I know, but he's not 5'4".
5'5".
He's about 5'8", isn't he? Sergio Aguero.
About 5'4".
But
Maradona was 5'4". He's about 5'6", but he's built like a tank, isn't he?
He's wide forward, isn't he, Diego Rossi? If you want to be 5'6", you need to be rapid.
You play right through the middle, mate. I've watched them a lot.
You've got to be rapid if you're that small, haven't you? As we've seen with Bernard, he's not quick enough, and you're that small and you get shoved off the ball.
No, but he's
you've either got to be rapid or have a brilliant brain.
Rossi's a finisher. Bernard is a player in the hole. He's a technical footballer. Rossi is more of he's off the front. Yeah, he can play wide off the left, but he can play through the middle as well. I think he's averaging 1 and 2 for LAFC. But it is MLS, so you've got it's a good. Don't get me wrong, MLS is improving because they're getting a lot of young, talented players in it from South America. But I don't know. He's a good player, but I don't know whether he is actually good enough.
It was 10 million the rumoured fee, which is about $14.1 million or something like that. But that was what it was rumoured. 10 million.
Daryl Dike is 10 million, and yet he's 3 years younger. He's got power and pace.
Played at Barnsley last season.
Got 9 and 19 for Barnsley.
Didn't he score at Wembley in the playoffs? Were they not in the playoffs?
He got knocked out in the semis.
Oh, did he score in the semis?
No.
Didn't he?
No, but he's done well all the way up to it. But I think he got 1 and 2 for Orlando City last season, so he's back actually in Orlando today.
Yeah.
Would you have him? Yeah.
DK. I'd have him if we didn't have to rely on him, because he's one of those. He's a flip of a coin, isn't he? He's power and pace. He's only 21, so you've got room to grow with him. So he'd be a good squad player and someone that you could try to polish up, because if he gets it right, he'll be a handful. Do you know what I mean? But we've said before, haven't we? There's players like Terran Moffey who were maybe ahead of him, who was only a year older than him and maybe a little bit more ability. So it's going to be interesting, definitely. Adam Logan says you think we'll have Silva back. Could you see Marco Silva bouncing back?
I'd bounce out if Marco Silva bounced back, put it that way. He literally failed with pretty much the same squad, 18 months ago, 2 years ago? No, not for me.
It wouldn't look good in the club, would it, if they brought him back after he got sacked
on the club
a couple of seasons ago?
Yeah, definitely.
Give him at least wait. Maybe when the next manager gets sacked in 18 months, he might be on the list. But no, I wouldn't have him back.
Lee Ledbetter says, Rudy Garcia, lads, what do you make of this guy? 338 games, averaging 1.8 a game. 1.8 points per game at Lyon, Marseille and Roma since 2013.
Well, it's more than a lot of the managers on that list. A lot of them have got 1.4, 1.5. The only one, obviously not on the list now, but Conte's got 2 points a game.
Yeah, 2 points per game.
So a good return. I don't know much about him. Didn't really watch Lyon when he was there. So
no, I listen. I've known he's been linked with Everton before about 3 times over the past 10 years with the job. I think he's done decent jobs where he's got. 1.8 points per game is a good, decent return.
Yeah.
And he's obviously 3 big clubs there, hasn't he? That he's had the experience of. But he's 57, isn't he? He could be one, I guess, that Everton could look at. He's got that experience and done it before. But I wonder if there's a concern with Everton, a slight concern with no Premier League experience with a couple of these fellas. And I was seeing something last week that said the Everton weren't bothered by that, and that's fine if that's what it is. But
well, at the moment, the shortlist that's being thrown about by The Athletic and other reporters only have Christophe Galtier in there with no Premier League experience, don't they? Ranjik just last night, yeah. But the others were Moyes, Martinez, Nuno, Graham Potter, Eddie Howe. So it seems like it's largely dominated by managers with Premier League experience. I know Galtier had worked at Portsmouth, hadn't he, before? The club are probably going to come out and say, yeah, we've got no issue with that, because if they come out and say, yeah, we've got a massive issue with managers not having any English or Premier League experience or English League experience, then all of your Pellegrini rumours and your Rudy Garcia, all of a sudden they just become a nonsense as soon as they get printed.
Pellegrini, no.
Not Pellegrini, Rudy Garcia,
Garcia,
Rudy Garcia and
no, but it's like
names.
Galtier and all of those, they get crossed off, don't they? But we'll see. Chris P. Hackett says, Potter link is complete rubbish, no contact between the clubs, 5 years left on his contract, and Bloom would give a straight answer of no. I think Chris is a Brighton fan.
We don't know that, do we?
I don't know if Chris is a Brighton fan. But
no, I mean like with Potter in contact with the team.
No, I mean
his agent might be interested.
Yeah. If put it this way, he's been named by 3 different journalists, 2 who are very close to certain somebody on the board, and Graham Potter's name's been on all of them, and even in the Athletic they confirm that Marcel Brands likes him.
Yeah.
Therefore, the fact that he's on a short list to me tells me that Graham Potter's very interested in managing Everton. Whether or not it goes any further than that, I don't know. Whether Brighton might be, obviously will be reluctant to lose him, so I don't know. But I think without being disrespectful to Brighton in any way, and I've got no beef with Brighton, a sound little club, I think if he had the opportunity to move to Everton, he'd move to Everton. Yeah. The same way when Ancelotti, someone bigger than Everton come, off he went. Yeah. When Manchester United came for David Moyes, off he went from us. Yeah. I'm not sat here being naive enough to go. It's the food chain. Yeah. You know, Everton are higher than Brighton, end the story, and Manchester United are higher than Everton, end the story, and that's kind of the way it is, isn't it?
As our Real Madrid, as we've seen.
As our Real Madrid, who come and talk him without even doing anything about it. So.
Everton's goals are getting to Europe, so he can prove himself and get Everton to Europe. Makes him look a lot better manager, isn't it?
Listen, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's all hypothetical. For all we know, Graham Potter, Chris might be absolutely right. Graham Potter might be like, go to Everton, you're messing. Basket case club, every 18 months they replace the manager, mightn't he? We're just looking and going, we're more attractive than Brighton because we've got better players and we've got more money and we're going to this. But to a lot of people, you'd just be going, even if you thought Everton are a big club, and if you get it right there, it's fantastic, people would be looking and going, I'm not risking my reputation going there because they're just going to chase me in 18 months.
That's it.
Where are we? Chris Spurrier says Everton fans had said no to Klopp before Dortmund.
I wouldn't.
Before Dortmund, when he'd been at Mainz, probably. Mate, yeah, they probably would have done.
Certainly not.
Liverpool fans are raging about Rodgers. Listen, you're absolutely right, Chris. You're absolutely right. The whole thing about it is, Cam said it early on before, and it's something we've said all week. There is literally nobody on that list, I don't think, who every Evertonian would go, he is our man, right? There's more on that list where people are arguing over it and saying no to him. Yeah. The reality is, it doesn't matter who Everton choose, as long as he's the right man.
Yeah, true.
And once they come in and they hold the scarf up and all of that, and they give the press conference and they say, I want to get Everton doing this, we need to be, right, we're on board, whether it be Graham Potter, whether it be Nuno Espirito Santo, whether it be Rudy Garcia, whether it be Eddie Howe, or Roberto Martinez. Whether it's Galtier. Whether it's any of those, you have to, we will, because we're Evertonians, back them. But it'll probably take time for everything else to just kind of settle down and bob along. Because people, I remember when Silva was appointed, loads of Evertonians didn't want Marco Silva. Loads. Loads were like, why have we got him? But you know what? Went the game and everyone was behind him and all of that. Yeah, okay, we didn't sing his name and all that. But there was no real unrest until the second season, really. Even in the first season when we had that wobble after the Anfield, people were more taking it out on the players, and rightly so. They're playing the game. So whoever you get, that's why I'm saying Graham Potter could actually be incredible for Everton. A lot of people underwhelmed. I don't really want Nuno Santo, but he could be brilliant for Everton. He could come in and be brilliant. But it is a guessing game at the minute.
As long as it's the right man, like you said. As long as it's the right man for the job.
That's what we want, don't we? Right, let's whiz through just a few of these, and then Ned can do some of theirs. Crypty says, Baz, what do you think of Daryl DK as a backup striker for Everton? American fans would love us to get one of these young, talented Americans. Said before that he's definitely got the tools to be a good striker. He's quick and strong. He's just played in the Championship 9 and 19. So yeah, he's a rough diamond, and you would have to polish him up. But he's got potential, definitely. So yeah, I mean, there's a few American kids. I'd love Everton to go and get Caden Cowell out of San Jose Earthquake, 17, looks like a real talent. We wouldn't get a work permit, but he's definitely one to watch. 17 years of age, super player. Adam McNulty says Mark G is the only sane person in the chat. If you see him on Patreon, you wouldn't say that. Only messing, mate.
Yeah.
TV says West Ham did win the World Cup, of course. Paddy B says Hammer fans still actually say without irony that they won the World Cup. David France says, for me, we've got to get in a manager with a style and an identity and bring in young athletic players. Give them all 3 years till Bramley, Murdoch and build from there. That's a plan though, David, isn't it? That is a plan. And we have to, Everton have to establish a plan.
Yeah.
And follow a plan.
Yeah. Otherwise, like you said, we'll be in the same situation, sat here, having the same conversation in 18 months' time, probably about the same managers on the same list, because the majority of those managers were on the list prior to Carlo Ancelotti, and some of them were even on the list prior to Marco Silva. So there has to be a plan, there has to be a structure, there has to be a way of doing things, there has to be a way forward that everybody is on board with and everybody agrees with. There's no point in Marcel Brands having his plan and his way forward and Farhad Moshiri having his plan and it be completely different, and Bill Kenwright there and Denise Barrett-Baxendale having another plan, and the manager coming in and just wiping all that away and having a completely different plan. Everybody has to be singing from the same hymn sheet in order for the club to progress. Otherwise we're going to come unstuck again in whether it's 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. We'll just come unstuck again at some point in the future.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at Mark G's super chat, which says I'm even better on Patreon.
Is right, Mark.
He is. Mark is good, he is. He's funny, he is funny. He's quite cutting as well at times, that's why I just give him a little bit of stick then. But yeah, he is. Where are we? That's gone to there. Sol says, if Everton need to transition into a stepping stone club for Champions League footy, then we have to accept players and managers will leave. Yeah. It's about having a plan for what happens, then you can react. And he's absolutely right. You'd have a progression plan, don't you?
Yeah.
And for Everton to get better, we're going to have to buy players who are on the way up. Yeah. And those players on the way up might get to their destination before we do.
Yeah.
But we sell and then we reinvest and we sell. And by that, you're building blocks, aren't you? Everton at the moment just seems to be going, they put a jigsaw out and it starts and then they just go, mess the jigsaw up, start again. And that's, to me, that's how it's been for God.
They try and start a new jigsaw piece with the old jigsaw pieces from the last
jigsaw. Well, and there's that as well.
So we just hope that when they do bring a manager on, like we've said, we just hope they come out and tell us why. And it's Marcel.
Like we're gonna do another 10 minutes, right? So
let's do some. Should we do some patience?
Yeah, in a minute. Tell them just one name of the manager who you would choose. Go on to you.
Chad says first. Arsho2, Baz, be honest, you have sources at the club. Is Ragnick on the table or is he low down the list?
Right. All I will say is Ragnick is on the list. And that I don't know where he fits. He's on the list. Right? He was being considered. He was one that put my mind at rest.
Yeah. He says 2, would we be willing to buy Potter out of his contract at Brighton?
We'd have to be, wouldn't we, if we wanted him?
And 3, are we speaking to Galtier?
I honestly don't know. I only know what everybody else is reporting, which apparently Everton were speaking to his agents.
There's a lot out there, isn't there?
I think what the club have done really well this time, much to the annoyance probably of us and other people, is that they've kept everything quite close to the chest. Yeah. So I don't think that's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Go on, Ned.
Gary Ward, howdy. Lewis Watts, defo gonna be Nuno or Potter, isn't it? Hope I'm wrong. You never know.
It'd be decent if it was Harry Potter and he comes in with like a little wand and that. And
Potter.
That would be good.
Loads of spells and just get rid of it.
Ron is number 2.
That's it.
Hermione number 3.
That's it. Just.
Mark says 5th. Stuart Thompson. Hi Baz, Cam and Ned. God, I hope this is resolved soon. Cam, I have a history of sending Toffee TV something they deserve and can use. Yours is arriving soon.
Thank you.
Just promise on air now we can see you use it.
Who's this?
Stu.
Oh, Stu, of course, it's Stu.
It's his birthday in 3 days and he's sending us gifts.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you. I will use it.
We need to send Stu something, definitely. Hang on, Super Chat from Chris Spurrier. He says, genuine thank you for live streaming throughout the week and helping me get my Everton fixed during my work day.
Harry
Potter is the way. Is
Harry
right,
is,
Chris.
Harry.
Thanks for the Super
We're
Chat,
all on
mate.
the train to Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
On the
Ned
train
doing
to
an accent then. Go on, Ned, sorry.
Have a look. Simon S. Brace Girdle. Hello, fellow Blues. Subscribe to Cam's channel on YouTube. He puts some decent stuff out and talks a lot of sense. Support the next generation of Blues if you can. The Mighty
Cheers,
Blues
Simon.
on YouTube. Keith Powell, I think and hope that they are doing due diligence. It is because they want to have a system, way of playing, youth pathways, and are backing Brand's vision of developing the club and squad in such a way they are self-sufficient. If this is the new direction, then I think Potter will fit the bill. Philosophy, mental strength and commitment is something that we've been missing for a long time. Have to start again with focus and all pulling in the same direction. Keep the faith.
Fair play. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're watching 750 of you doing it. Just hit the like. It takes a sec. Cam loves it as well.
I do.
And also subscribe if you haven't. And if you want more footy chat, that's not Everton. Subscribe to the Footy Show channel. Al Clark says, Ernesto Valverde, we got a squad full of former Barcelona players. TJV says, Moyes is too good to go to Everton. Fair enough.
Nice.
Delboy says, what about Jürgen Klinsmann? Interesting. Klinsmann, yeah, he was mentioned for every job. He went over to Germany though, didn't he? And didn't do very well. Adam Logan says Silva. Mad. Delboy says Conte is class. Gaultier and Big Dunk explosive combo. That's from Ganymede 7. Holly Fletcher says taking their time, the board, as they know they have to get disappointing spot on to appease the fans. Fair point, Holly. That's
yeah. Well, you'll know, won't you, the direction in which the club are going, or certainly think they're going by whoever comes in. You'll be able to tell briefly, right, okay, they've brought this manager in for this reason or for that reason, and hopefully it's the reason that we all want it to be. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, definitely.
Chenlar says that he's Welsh, but he lives on the border and his mum and dad are English, so the international football is very confusing.
Yeah,
support England.
Where's the border? Wrexham.
What?
Could be Wrexham.
Why not?
Slow, like Shrewsbury and stuff like that, isn't it? They're all a thing. Everton Luke says Potter. James Gray says Phil Neville. Mike Flynn says
Good
Martinez.
coach.
No. Andrew Hughes wants Simeone. Simeone. That's what he's put, Simeone rather. Andrew Holt wants Gaultier. Delboy wants Conte as well. There's another Conte from Fast Eddie. Dosbick, Gaultier for me. Delboy, Conte's class. We've done that, haven't we? Going down. Push up West Ham chats. People arguing with West Ham fans. Fair enough. Claudio Ranieri said Dave Holland. Okay. If not, this is Blue Nose says if not Christophe Gaultier, then Ralph Rangnick. XX Gannon X says go all in for Pep.
That's it.
Yeah.
May as well give him a call.
Why not?
Simeone, give them a call.
You've got to aim high.
That's it. All they can do is laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Pep, do you fancy a challenge, Pep?
And I think he will laugh.
Yeah, he probably will.
Laugh. Haley says so. Who's the favourite for today to take the job? Haley, it's Nuno still.
That doesn't mean anything though. I know Haley doesn't want Nuno, does she?
No. It's Haley. It's Nuno, Gaultier, Howe, Benitez, Potter. They're like
then Mike Bassett
descendant.
But it really doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
The betting odds really don't mean. All they mean is they're the people that are putting the money on them at the moment. And loads of people will have put the money on Nuno after the Crystal Palace stuff fell through because they'll have thought, well, he'll go to Everton then, so we'll stick a couple of quid on it.
Let me just... TJV
betting business
has said Everton have never won the league. I've never known Everton to win anything.
No,
Everton have won the league fourth most times in history since football began.
Probably the same.
Fourth most successful club in England, but you keep cracking on, mate. Yeah. You're right. If you're about 20, you will be right. We haven't won anything in your lifetime because it's been a while, but we have won the league, mate. West Ham, I'm late 40s, 49. West Ham have never won anything in my life ever.
Oh, well, they're all...
I mean, yeah, because Trevor Brooking.
They're forever blowing bubbles, but as you do.
They've won one trophy
Listen,
in my
you've got
life.
David Moyes now for another 3 years, so enjoy. I've seen loads of things with West Ham fans on Twitter, and they were like, "Well, he snubbed Everton," getting every comment was like, "We're not that bothered, you know, mate."
He hasn't snubbed Everton. If Everton wanted David Moyes, he'd have been Everton's manager.
He'd have been here if everyone was all on David Moyes, he'd have been at Everton.
Here, yeah. Jedi Andre says, get Nuno, Adam Logan, Jose Mourinho, although Adam Logan said Silva before.
He's gone to Roma, hasn't he? Well, he has gone to Roma. Jose Mourinho.
Jose's Roma, yeah.
And Sarri's gone to Lazio.
Chris says Nuno needs to get in the bin. Yeah. P. Murph says, I'd love Simeone, but we don't have a chance. No, we won't.
I don't think he'd lead Atletico.
He's proper.
He's just won the league.
He's Mr. Atletico as well, and he's proper like he is that club personified.
There was a time he fell out with them, didn't he, a while ago, and his people approached Everton about 18 months ago.
Simeone?
Before we got Ancelotti.
You're making me feel worse here, Baz.
Well, it's well known, isn't it? But obviously, whatever happened, Everton, it didn't happen. Ancelotti wanted them, didn't he?
Yeah.
He couldn't get it done. He couldn't come to Everton now. He just won the league and the Champions League. We're all over the gaff.
He would galvanise the fan base, though.
Well, yeah, for how long?
Give him a bell.
I know, but people moaned about the way we played under Ancelotti.
Yeah.
That's all Atletico play.
Yeah.
Low block, 4-4-2, and nick a goal on the break and defend. They're the greatest defenders ever, aren't they? But
Lille were quite similar from what I've seen and heard. They're not the biggest attacking team in the world.
No, but they're not
Under
ultra
Galtier.
defensive either, though. I think they're a mix, aren't they?
Man, the thing with Galtier is, we said before about being a selling club. Lille have sold the majority of their best players over the last recent years, and then they just bring in players to replace them. Dosherman and of a sort. Obviously, Gabriel went to Arsenal last summer, and
Nicolas Pepe. They got Iconium.
Nicolas Pepe, exactly. Yeah. So
that's what you've got to do,
it's the way to be.
Rafael Lau went off to Milan. They've got loads. Josh Creedy says get Cale and Baines. Pesmark says Conte equals risk equals reward. Ahmed Fadousi says yes, big Duncan. We can sell and buy players. There you go. Right, we're gonna go now. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're a patron, we will see you at 5 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Like I say, we'll be here next week. Let's hope something happens over the weekend and we've got a little bit more clarity. We'll be back on Monday.
Hopefully something happens on Monday while we're live.
Yeah. Well, we might get a bit more clarification, might be, over the weekend of what direction it's heading in.
Yeah.
And then we can look in a little bit more detail next week.
Hopefully we get 2 or 3 names and we know it's going to be one of those 3.
Yeah.
Rather than just still 45,000 names.
Yeah, most definitely.
Bored of seeing Nuno favourite now, aren't we? That doesn't look like it's going to wrap it.
But even if he's one of the 3 names, at least we've got 3 names or 2 or 3 names.
I mean, like we said before, they might have that anyway, and we're just surmising and taking what's being said, aren't we, and having a look at it. So, listen, thanks very much for everyone who joined us. Give it a little thumbs up on your way out if you want to. Subscribe if you haven't. And we will see you later. Take it easy.
Nice one.